Hey, what's up? Welcome to Movie Dumpster Season 4, Episode 11. Today we're talking about The Beast Within from 1981, directed by Philippe Mora. I'm Joe Lascola.
And I'm Sean O'Rourke.
Welcome to The Dumpster.
Yeah, we're going right back into the dumpster at the top of the month here. Diving deep in there.
Oh, man, this is a good one. I love this flick, dude.
We're going to get into it. I don't know if I'll say I loved it, but I'll leave it at that for now.
There's a lot of good stuff in this film, for sure. This takes place in I would assume the fall, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like to watch this in the summer. It's fucking hot. We are in the throes of we're in the beginning of the summer, man.
Yeah, it's already this hot, Joe. Think about what you just were about to say. You're about to be like, oh, we're in the throes of the summer. It's like, no, it's 90 already.
I was like, it's the dog days. And it's like, no, it's just fucking really hot and humid outside.
When August rolls around and the fucking sweat is just dripping off her face, and you got the air conditioning set to 60 and it's still like 110 out, you're going to be like, fuck.
Oh, yeah, man. My ass is fully wet and ready to go.
And we're in the Northeast, so it's like I can't even imagine the people in like Arizona and California and Florida who are getting cooked in their fucking living rooms, in their cars.
That's the dry heat, though.
Oh yeah, well that's true.
Yeah, we wanted to tackle The Beast Within because it deals with cicadas and coming and transformations and all that kind of good stuff, which we'll get into. But it's the year of the Brood X cicada. It has been 17 years since they've last emerged, and they're out and about. They're all over the fucking place.
Now, do you hear them by you?
Not yet.
Okay.
I don't think they've hatched yet. We did some gardening the other day, and we actually dug up a couple because, they go into the ground and they hibernate and then they come out.
So what happens when you find them in the ground? Are they just dead if you pull them up too early, or they start wriggling around?
No, this one didn't move, I think, because I think we stabbed it in the head with the spade by accident. Hey, look, we were trying to plant some fucking thyme and some oregano, little bugger, no pun intended, was under there. Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris is probably very happy you did that. Well, it's 17 years, just like in this film. Is that a thing with all cicadas? Is it always 17 years, or is that just the common trait?
I believe that's how it goes. I'm not a fucking entomologist, so I don't really know. But I do know that everybody was making such a big deal about Brood X emerging and like, oh my god, this is gonna be Brood X, they're coming out, they're gonna be so loud and stuff.
It does kind of make me want to take a trip to the Pine Barrens just to find. Actually, you know what? I might actually be camping while this is all happening. I'll report back on the next episode, or maybe the one after that. Let you know if I hear any cicadas.
Don't go into the woods alone. All right? You know what happens when you go out into the woods alone?
I don't come out.
No, you don't. You get fucked by a were-cicada man.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah. Hold that thought.
Hold that thought. There's also a weird tie, because I'm into riddles and puzzles and weird not conspiracy theories in the way that you might think of them, but how do I put this? Cryptic messages and things like that. There is a internet puzzle or mystery or riddle, what have you, that is called Cicada 3301. And it's this cool, hidden message kind of puzzle where there's words and clues and things that are baked into images and music that's played at a certain speed to get certain messages. It's pretty fucking weird. It's a weird rabbit hole if you want to go down it. I've only read about it. I haven't tried to solve any of the puzzles myself or anything like that, but I thought that was a fun thing to include in this episode if you're into that kind of stuff. I'm not going to go deep into it, but check it out, Cicada 3301.
And if anybody has actually heard of that and dug into it, please let us know, because I would love to learn more about that.
Yeah, it's nuts. People theorize that it was created by this master like code breaker like that had worked for like the CIA and shit like that.
Okay.
So it's like this. I mean, they've deduced that like they probably have a full-time day job and like do this on the side kind of thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. Monster Talk has covered it. Definitely check out that episode of Monster Talk if you want to know some more about it. And one of the guys who guests on that episode does a deep dive of like his experience with it and the history of it and shit like that. So it's super interesting. Definitely check it out. So in honor of Brood X, we are talking about The Beast Within today. This movie shot in 1980 and does not come out theatrically until 1982.
Ah, it's one of those.
It's one of those, yeah. I don't think there's any particular reason for it. It's usually shot the year before. So, like, it's shot in 1980, it's finished in 1981, comes out in 82 theatrically. Or at least widely released, right? A fun aside on this is, like, this is one of those flicks that when it was released, like, it was touted to have, they had vomit bags in the fucking theater and shit, which I love. The Mahoning Drive-In just did that. Harry from Exhumed Films had brought out to the Mahoning, because they did their Zombie Fest, and they had zombie barf bags, like screen-printed barf bags. So I thought I always love that. That's super fun. And it's been done, like in the 60s and 70s for other horror films. So it's a pretty neat little gimmick that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. It's like, it makes me think of, what was that one with Vincent Price, The Tingler?
Oh yeah, well, that's like a 4D experience where they put that shit under your seat.
Right. I guess that's a little different.
The air pump or some shit.
But yeah, that interactive element that you're talking about, I like stuff like that.
Absolutely fucking love like 4D elements like that, like smell-o-vision and shit like that.
And I could see some people getting a little sick at the end of this movie when you see what this creature kind of looks like, which I've got some opinions about when we get there. I've got a potential name for that character in the MDU. We'll get to it.
So I got a few little tidbits to fucking to bite into here. So the effects, speaking of the effects, Tom Berman does the effects on this. And if you don't know who Tom Berman is, he's a legend in the field, okay? This man has done everything from the original Planet of the Apes, or worked on everything from the original Planet of the Apes to Grey's Anatomy. He's also the father of Rob Berman, the B in the titular K&B effects team, who we've brought up multiple times on the show. Excellent effects team.
You've been chewing my ear off about him for years, Joe.
Yeah. Well, K&B anyway. I think this.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Berman actually did some of the effects on Howard the Duck too. I think we mentioned him in that episode.
Oh, I'm sure we did.
Yeah.
And speaking of Howard the Duck, I don't know if the listeners at home had seen this, but Joe recently purchased this horrifying fucking Howard the Duck off Facebook.
You leave me and my disgusting son alone, okay?
Look that up on Instagram if you haven't seen it. This thing is creepy, and it's how do we put it? He's got the proper equipment downstairs.
Oh yeah, he's anatomically correct for sure. He's got the old corkscrew for you.
Yeah, he's gonna. Leah Thompson knows all about that. Go back and listen to our Howard the Duck episode. I think what was that, season 2?
Looks like a fucking rigatoni on that fucking thing.
Oh yeah, he slips that condom on. He's thinking about Duck World back in those duck boobs, and he's rock hard.
Trying to put that on. You trying to put like a fucking rubber band around a crazy straw? Yeah.
It's pretty hard. But Howard's a pro. He's a pro.
When I got that thing, I ordered this fucking thing was so like janky looking. I got it on from a Facebook ad. I was like, I fucking need this thing. When I got it, all it is like a G.I. Joe body with like custom clothes and like a duck head that like goes over the regular head. So it's almost like a G.I. Joe Howard the Duck mascot almost.
Okay, yeah, I wondered why he had army fatigues on.
Well, he wears army clothes. He wears army pants in the movie.
Yeah, you were saying that to me. I guess. Yeah, kinda.
Yeah, because he fucking robs like a fucking Goodwill bin in the children's section or some shit. I don't know. Go check out Howard the Duck episode. I don't know what episode that is. That's the second season though of Movie Dumpster.
Yeah, somewhere in the April area.
Oh yeah. So yeah, just one more thing about the effects. This film comes out in that small window between 1980 and 1982 where we step up or really where we come into the contemporary horror films of our generation. I mean, that is the turning point from those 70s films into the highly intricate special effects work starts to kick off. I mean, we got American Werewolf in London, we got The Howling, we have this film, The Beast Within, and even The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. And two of those films have effects fronted by Rob Bottin, and the other one by Rick Baker, and of course this one Tom Berman's team. In that pocket between 80 and 82, we were doing like cutting edge prosthetic work and animatronics and shit, and this is one of the first films to implement the bladders in a transformation. Like, I think probably most people would be familiar with like Michael Jackson's Thriller. Like, when you watch that video and you see his face all bubbling and shit, I mean, that's of course Rick Baker's work, but that's the type of makeup that we're referring to when we say bladder work. So these movies kind of pioneered that technique, and they all kind of share the secrets. And Bottin was working under Rick Baker when he did American Werewolf in London, and then Baker was supposed to work on Joe Dante's The Howling, but ended up working, taking the job under Dante and kind of heading The Howling makeup and makeup and effects while Baker was doing American Werewolf in London, like adjacently, like as they were being made together. And then of course Bottin goes on to do The Thing special effects. But yeah, because of these films and because of like all this cutting edge effect stuff, prosthetic works and things like that, the Oscars creates a new category for special effects. And of course, obviously Rick Baker wins it for American Werewolf in London,
as he should have.
He's the first person to win an Oscar for special effects makeup.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
This movie's written by Tom Holland. Okay. The man behind Child's Play and Fright Night.
Oh my God, is it really?
Yeah, man. Tom Holland's, is fucking legend. I mean, Fright Night is one of my favorite movies and probably my favorite vampire movie of all time. Easy. So this movie's based on a novel by Edward Levy, but here's the fucking bitch, right? This fucking guy, Ed, sells the title of the book to Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM Studios. Just the title, The Beast Within. They're like, shit, baby, you're going to write a fucking book called The Beast Within? Well, fuck, we're taking that, we're going to buy that, and we're going to make a movie out of it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what the people that published The Visitor thought, too. Yeah, we're going to buy this and call it of unknown origin.
So dig this. So Ed sells them the title, and then has writer's block, quote unquote. So Tom Holland picks up the fucking slack and writes the actual story.
Writer's block.
Yeah, and then writes the screenplay, and then this guy, Ed Levy, fucking writes the book based on the screenplay by Tom Holland. So it's not even Ed's, like, original story or anything. It's just the title.
That is a weird one. We might have to talk to CB about this at some point.
Oh, we got to get his ass on the horn for this for sure, because I want to see what liberties Ed took in the book compared to the film, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I would love to hear. There's a few scenes in particular that I would love to hear the way it was written rather than portrayed.
Right, and there's a lot of stuff in this movie that's kind of left open-ended, which isn't a bad thing, but we'll talk about it.
Right.
And our boy Ronny Cox is in this film, and I just want to bring him up first. I wanted to introduce him before we got to his character.
I did not recognize him at all, and then I went on his Wikipedia, and I was like, what the hell has this guy been in? I'm like, oh my God.
I work for Dick Jones!
He is Dick Jones.
He is Dick Jones, yeah. So he gets this movie because of his performance in Deliverance, like the dueling banjos scene specifically, because he's fucking jamming on that fucking guitar.
Right.
He ends up writing a song, one of the country songs in this film. Like, I think it's even called The Beast Within or some shit like that. Anyway.
Yeah, I was reading that nowadays, now that he's retired, he just plays music exclusively.
Yeah, but that's what he did,
which is kind of wild.
Yeah, he was a songwriter, actor, a musician, actor, and he's great in it. He's great in everything.
I also love that I saw he was Cohagen in fucking Total Recall.
Oh yeah, man. He's also in fucking Beverly Hills Cop.
Yes, he's like the main detective, I think, that helps Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, in Beverly Hills, yeah. So, without further ado, let's hatch from The Beast Within.
Yeah.
Or let the beast within hatch here? I don't know. I tried to make that work, but yeah, emerge, shall we say.
Yeah, before we crack out of our shells.
Yeah.
Do us a favor if you haven't already. head over to wherever you're listening to this, whether it's YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google, wherever the hell, Spotify, and just leave us a 5-star review. And if you got the time, write us a review. That helps us too. And, then we get out of the bottom of the dumpster into more eardrums and just spread the good word of the show.
Oh, yeah, baby. Like, subscribe, review. Subscribe on that YouTube, maybe. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Yep, and check out our Patreon if you want some bonus content. We got that watch-along of the Super Mario Brothers extended cut coming.
The Morton Jankel VHS cut is coming.
I can't wait for that.
There is an additional 20 minutes of footage that has been recut, reinstated, and rescored, and I cannot fucking wait for that. That is going to be such a good time to watch with everybody on Patreon.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a little more at the end of the show, but check that out, too.
Absolutely. Oh, and head over to that Movie Dumpster merch store.
Oh, yeah?
If you go to moviedumpsterpodcast.com, you have links to all of that good stuff. The store, the Patreon, where you can listen on your favorite podcast apps. But in the store, we put up some new merch. We got Son of Dracula, Bite It tee with that iron-on transfer that we digitally restored and put on a t-shirt for you guys. And we also have Talks from the Dark Side shirts now and Book to the Movie shirts. So definitely go check that out.
I am waiting for mine to come in the mail. But yeah, so The Beast Within.
You want to plot crunch this?
Ooh, okay. So essentially, how do I break this down? A couple has an altercation in the middle of the night when this, like, Jersey Devil-ass monster attacks the woman.
You could call it that, yeah. Altercation.
Yeah, and impregnates her, and then, we skip ahead 17 years, come to find out, oops, little Michael isn't Eli's son, isn't Ronny Cox's son. He's potentially the son of this creature. And then some Wolfman-ass shit starts happening, and there's a young love involved with this girl Amanda, and there's kind of like a case almost happening in the background where the parents are trying to figure out who or what this thing was that attacked Caroline, the wife of.
Oh yeah, town with a secret for sure. Yeah,
and then it all kind of culminates at the end when they're basically having a good old werewolf hunt, essentially.
More or less, yeah.
And there's also like this whole revenge plot intertwined into there that's connected with the transformations, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, there is something going on here, and I just don't know exactly what, but we're going to talk about it. So the movie opens up in Nioba, Mississippi in 1964. There's this couple that just got married, Eli and Caroline McCleary, and they're fucking driving through the swamps of Mississippi to, I don't know what, have a honeymoon or some shit.
I love how these roads have all these fucking darts and dives in them, and these assholes are fucking like kissing each other, not watching the road. She's reaching for his fucking Johnson.
This is intercut with, like, this fucking monster breaking out of this basement in this old house, right?
Yeah.
They stop at this gas station, the guy's like, all right, make a turn before this fucking sign or whatever, and they miss the turn. So Ronny Cox pulls the most ridiculous fucking K-turn in the history of fucking K-turns. He's just like, oh shit, we missed it, fuck, and then just cuts the wheel into a ditch.
Yeah. In this mud-covered ditch, and then he can't move the car, and his fucking rim goes flying and everything.
Oh my god, he has to go back to the fucking station to get a tow, and all this woman had to do was just stay in the fucking car, right?
Yeah, lock the doors.
They have a dog, by the way, like they're just married, they got it fucking painted in soap on the back of the fucking car.
Yeah.
And there's a dog in the back, so she lets the dog out, and that's the vehicle in which she leaves the car itself and goes into the woods.
As soon as she let the dog out and we go and see this POV from Monster Vision or whatever the fuck it is, I'm like, all right, there goes the family dog. Good night, Skip.
Monster Vision TM. Yeah.
Yeah, it's better Monster Vision than an American Werewolf in Paris. That still has the worst of all time.
Man, that doesn't even fucking count. I think the Watchers movies, Monster Vision, is better than American Werewolf in Paris, and that's saying something.
Oh, man, I've never seen that.
Excellent flicks. We got to definitely check it out. That first one's got Corey Haim and Michael Ironside in there.
I'm into it. I like both of those names.
Yep, good shit.
So I knew this had a cicada theme, going in.
Yes.
This was the first time I ever saw it. And I was kind of wondering where that was going for a while. Eventually, it all kind of clicked for me. But in the beginning, I was like, oh shit, is this just a werewolf? Because you don't really get a good look at it. And I kind of like that because you don't really know what you're getting into.
This movie does a really good job of keeping everything pretty much under wraps to the end. And one can say, well, they're trying to hide the bad effects. But at the time, these were cutting edge, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
It's not like that was the case. They're just trying to build tension and kind of let you figure it out as we go rather than telling you everything. Anyway, so this woman gets attacked and fucking Swamp Thing gets his dick wet and splits.
Yeah, rips her shirt open.
Leaves this woman in a fucking ditch covered in blood and shit.
And cicada monster cum, I guess?
Oh yeah, his fucking goo for sure, yeah. His mucus. His dick mucus.
We couldn't go a month without this unfortunate subplot of someone being raped in a movie. I don't know how we keep coming back to these kind of subjects. The rest of the movie, I kind of enjoyed. We'll get into it. But the rape, like, why? I get that's kind of the plot of the movie, so it doesn't hurt it too bad, but I'm just like, oh man, again?
Well, it's a huge plot point, and with rebirth and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's not just like, oh, here's people doing mean shit just because. Like,
yeah,
there is a reason for it.
True. It's a lot more, it's an easier pill to swallow in this film than in Mother's Day, per se.
Oh, sure. Yeah, well, I mean, this is also like a fucking monster, right?
Yeah, a cicada werewolf, or, we'll get to,
a were cicada, yeah.
It's a Connor wolf, really, we find out.
Some of this shit is pretty fucking disturbing, especially, like, there's a long shot where this woman is being fucking slammed by this fucking monster, and it's, like, off screen, but you can see her top half.
I mean, it's shot really well.
Yeah.
And then, the creature runs off, and Dad comes in with the fucking fire truck, and he finds her.
Yeah.
And, they kind of rush her off to the hospital, and then you just kind of hear in the background some gunshots, and something let out a wail, and it kind of, like, fades out, and you're kind of just left to your own imagination as to what happened. It's, heavily implied they killed the thing.
And then the movie's over. No, wait. We flash forward 17 years later, and we're now in Jackson, Mississippi.
Oh, and we go to this fucking doctor's office. This guy, Dr. Odom.
Yeah. I kind of love the way that this story pans out because, like, their son is sick, right? So the couple from the beginning, Eli and Caroline, there's something wrong with their kid. He turned 17 and he's, like, fine a couple months before, and all of a sudden he's just fucking sick now. He has this deathly illness, but nobody knows what the fuck it is, and they're just like, yep, I don't know, your kid's gonna be on life support forever, or he's gonna die. Sorry, we don't know what's wrong with him.
He's gotta be in this hospital just for reasons. We're not really even sure what to do with him. We don't even know what's wrong with him. We just know something's really wrong with him.
Yeah, he's got a chemical imbalance, okay? Look, there's something wrong with his pituitary gland. It's going crazy.
We take American Express.
He can't get enough nutrition no matter how much fucking food we shove down this kid's throat. He's insatiable. So we took the liberty of taking a test, taking a blood test for you guys, and it turns out that nothing's wrong with you genetically because the guy says it might be a hereditary thing.
Right.
And he's like, well, unless there's a big plot point of this movie that you're leaving out for me that I don't know what happened because I didn't see the cold open.
The doc even straight up says, like, oh, is there something that you need to tell me that I don't know? And this is where Eli, the dad, he, like, flips out. And, like, you obviously find out later why. But he gets all pissed off and, like, storms out of the room like, I don't have to take these questions.
Did you happen to get fucked by a were cicada in the swamp?
Yeah.
She's like, yep, I sure did. That's what happened. Well, I guess we're going back to the town to figure out who the fuck this thing was or man was that had sex with me, because they got to figure out how to
I guess
cure their son.
Right.
And it's obviously not Eli's, it's the monster, but she also doesn't know it's a monster, right? They just think it's some guy who raped her and left her in the woods, like pulled her from her car or whatever.
Right. Who then shellacked her with a bunch of bug goo, but okay. Where'd he get all this fucking cicada spit?
I have to give this woman props, man. She's one of the toughest people in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
She gets raped, has the kid, and Eli is doing most of the time. Ronny Cox is doing most of the time. Is mostly the one who's like, my son, I don't want to believe it. And she's just like, she's the one who had to go through all of those experiences. You know what I mean?
But I also do wonder if she told her husband, like, yeah, a literal fucking cicada monster raped me, and then, like, you know, he believes her because it's his wife, and now it's like, oh shit, something's weird with my son. I guess that isn't my son. And now he's like freaking out.
Well, they don't know it's a monster. They think it's a guy who raped her. Right?
Yeah, I guess that's what we come to find out.
So they're trying to track down, like, his lineage to that fucking town where that happened and see if, you know, there was a crime. Like, this, if this guy's a rapist, then he's obviously committed other crimes, and they kind of wanted to see if they can pin it down in the same time period as it happened.
They put on their detective hats and jackets, quite literally, and start fucking hitting the beat.
Oh, yeah. They fucking pull a Conjuring 3, dude. They fucking Ed and Lorraine 1. They Scooby-Doo their way into fucking Nioba, Mississippi.
Oh, yeah. That is too spot on. I couldn't believe we did those so close to each other. Just happened to work out.
Imagine the Warrens taking on this case.
Oh, my God.
The fucking cicada? I'd watch that.
I would kind of love that, actually.
Especially when we kind of figure out what starts. I mean, you know what? James Wan's going to remake this fucking movie. This is The Conjuring 4, right? It's going to take place in Mississippi. He's just going to inject some witchcraft and the Warrens in there, and boom, you're fucking done. Movie's over.
Oh, my God. Sell it. Write that script, Joe. Just write it down, send it to James Wan, say, it's a work print, but it's solid gold. So then we see Michael getting rolled in, their son, on this fucking like stretcher.
Paul Clemens, by the way, from Communion, and this guy is the only other movie that I've ever seen him in was Communion. But this guy's really cool because he sculpted a lot of monster masks and stuff, because he was like big into special effects too. For like private collectors, they would like commission him to like do sculpts and stuff. And he also worked under Tom Berman for a couple other movies. He did The Outing, and he did One Dark Night.
Really?
Michael Ray Bauer's favorite movie. Yeah.
I've never seen that one either.
Killer Genie. Oh yeah. Good shit.
Oh, I think you've told me about that before.
Yeah, we definitely gotta tackle that. Maybe this summer. Who knows?
But yeah, Michael, he's in this stretcher, and he's connected to an IV, and he's sweating up a storm and hallucinating. He's like hallucinating about waking up in a field, like outside the fucking Sawyer house.
Oh yeah, dude, fucking Leatherface. It's like Texas Chainsaw Origins. Yeah, he goes in and he finds Leatherface in the basement. No, that doesn't happen. Yeah, so he this is like one of his. He has like this dream that he's at this fucking house, this old house that we saw in the beginning of the movie where we saw the fucking monster burst out of. And I love how they use this imagery, because it's like he's having a dream, and the trap door in the house is where this thing is that's like causing him all this pain, and he's holding his ears, and this thing is like talking to him like telepathically or whatever.
It's like all in his head though. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's really cool because it talks to him, but you never hear it. You only hear him responding to it.
Yeah, exactly. But he like walks into the house again. It basically looks like the Sawyer house, but all the fucking windows are boarded up. And he goes in, and there's this fucking Evil Dead fucking trap door in the floor that he opens up.
Oh, yeah. Come down to my root cellar.
And not even is it an Evil Dead reference, but we also get a House by the Cemetery reference, because he gets like chucked down these cellar stairs by this Freudstein-looking fuck.
Oh, he gets kicked right the fuck down, yeah.
And then I think he kind of snaps out of it after that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he wakes up, and then Mom and Dad are fucking on the hunt for records. They go back to Nioba.
They go to Boggy Creek. They pull in the fiddles. There's a fiddle diddle being played. It's like do 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 do.
Oh yeah, man. Gatorface is down there too.
Yeah, LeVar Burton's there. Windstrom's there in the bog.
So yeah, they're looking around town. They go to the fucking newspaper, and they go to the fucking courthouse, and they're trying to find records on the town, and everybody's like super tight-lipped about it.
I love when Mom goes to the fucking newspaper, and it's this guy Edwin Kerwin, which is going to be important.
Yes.
He's like, oh yeah, we got the papers in the back. He's like, you can just look at it or whatever, but when I have lunch, you got to be done. And she's like, oh yeah, great. So a few minutes go by, and he's like, where's that bitch? He's like, I gotta eat my lunch. Get out! And he's like yelling and shit.
I gotta eat my raw hamburger. Yeah. This guy's played by Logan Ramsey, dude, and I was like, who the fuck is this motherfucker? Turns out he's one of the three homeless people in the scene in Scrooged when he goes to see Claire.
Oh my god.
It's Mama Fratelli.
You rang.
Yeah, it's Mama Fratelli, Herman, and then this guy is one of them.
When I watch Scrooge this year, I'll point him out.
Yeah. So then Eli goes to see the judge, who's played by Don Gordon from The Borrower, Exorcist 3, The Omen, The Final Conflict. He's great in this movie. I love him. And he's basically like, yeah, you ever have any cases with, like, murderers or rapes or anything? And he's like, no. See ya. And he's like, okay, bye.
Yeah, that's really just in there just so the judge knows that they're looking into this, because then Edwin kind of fucking runs over there, scampers across to his office, and is like, oh, they were asking questions about Bobby Connors.
Yeah, because Caroline finds, like, a front page full spread ad of, like, Lionel Kerwin dead, shot to shit. And the guy's like, man, there's not been a murder here since forever. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, trying to keep a fucking lid on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, the judge and the judge, everybody's in on it. So this guy, Edwin, and the judge are obviously trying to cover something up. And they try to stop Eli and Caroline from finding out who it is.
Well, they go to the sheriff's office.
But yeah, Sean, they make it to the fucking sheriff's office. And this guy... They're looking for this sheriff who was sheriff at the time, but he, like, died a year later.
Well, yeah, Sheriff Brandt, they come in and he died a year ago, but when they find out how he died, it wasn't, like, natural causes. Like, oh, he was ripped to pieces by some monster.
Well...
It's like, okay, I thought they were talking about, like, the cicada monster at first, but then I guess it was just a bear.
Well, no, they're not talking about the sheriff. So the guy who's the sheriff now is Bill Poole, and he was a deputy at the time of, like, the rape and stuff. But they ask him about Lionel Kerwin's death, or his murder.
Oh, right, yeah, you're right.
And Lionel Kerwin apparently was a real son of a bitch, and he was ripped to fucking pieces. They're like, oh my god, an animal killed him? And he's like, yeah, it must have been an animal. And then it set fire to his house.
Right, exactly. By the way, this Sheriff Poole, played by L.Q. Jones, he's one of those kind of that guy actors you see in a lot of shit. Specifically, he was in Casino, and he was the county commissioner, Pat Webb. He's like, oh, yeah, you need to rehire my brother-in-law, Joe Bob Briggs, because Denny...
Oh, my God!
Because Robert De Niro fires his ass because he sucks at his job and costs them all this money from these people that cheat.
That's right.
And they take Joe Bob Briggs, and he fucking, like, they carry him out, all the security, and they use his head as, like, a fucking battering ram to open the door. And then this guy comes in and is like, I really wish you would rehire my brother-in-law, and he won't. So that's what I remember him from.
Oh man, that's fucking hilarious. I didn't even put that on him. I didn't get the beat on that guy.
What does he say? He says something. They're talking about the Kerwins or something, and they're like, oh yeah, that's a shame that guy got killed. He goes, he was a son of a bitch. Pardon my French.
Oh yeah, he says he's a real piece of shit, and like they found him all tore up and stuff. And that's all they really get out of him, you know what I mean? Because they have the newspaper and they're trying to put the pieces together. I don't know exactly why they think Lionel Kerwin had anything to do with it.
Yeah, I don't know where they're kind of going with that thread.
I guess because that was the only significant thing to be reported or happened that day. The same day.
It's more so information for the audience, I feel like, so that as things start to happen, as the movie progresses, you're like, oh shit, another Kerwin. Like, I don't know why it's there for the characters.
No, for sure. So they go back to the hospital and they're like, yeah, this Kerwin guy or whatever. And then Michael's just fucking gone. And we see him like all fucked up driving a car.
Yeah, sweating and shit.
Yeah, man, he's fucking turning into John Travolta, it looks like. I was a teenage Travolta? Maybe. Fucking crashes that car, though.
Yeah, I love how they do this a couple times in the movie where it has a big lettering pops on the screen the first night.
Yeah, I'm into that. It's almost like chapters. I like that.
And then he goes back to the Sawyer house in his dream, but this is just to kind of indicate that he's transforming into this... whatever.
This is the first inclination you get because he goes to that house, like Sean said, in his dream, and he goes to the basement to open it up. And this is where he has his first conversation with this fucking disembodied voice that we don't hear.
Yeah, and he tells him, you can come out now.
He's like, you can come out now. I'm opening the door. And he's like, oh, I'll do it if you promise to let me sleep or like leave me alone or whatever. So this is the first kind of inkling we get. Like there's a little bit more going on here. It's almost like possession or like influence.
Yeah.
Happening here.
Because the whatever's inside him doesn't have control over him 24/7. It's like in short bursts.
It comes and goes, and I think it's because of the cycle of this kind of, again, this cicada motif that runs throughout the movie. It even lines up with like the full moon too, so it is like a werewolf cycle almost.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with the werewolf shit earlier, where it was like, oh, I see the full moons like kind of at play here. You can only really see the legs in that first scene,
right?
Like what are we actually dealing with?
But it's a classic kind of thing too, because like, you know, for each phase of the moon, he gets a little bit more and more cicada-y. Just like a classic werewolf tale where you get a little bit more hairy and hairy. Like, it's not just full moon. Like, you go crazy like every night leading up until you actually go full wolf. In some cases, anyway.
So then he makes his way over to Edwin Kerwin's house.
The guy from the newspaper.
Right. And Edwin somehow mistakes him for, like, the delivery boy, because I guess the delivery guy just, like, dropped the shit off and didn't say anything.
I guess.
And Michael just grabs it, and he's like, oh, yeah, put it on the table. Come on in. Want a hamburger? I'm going to make it without washing my hands.
It's fucking disgusting, dude. He's like, oh, you look hungry, man. I'm going to fucking make you and fry up some burgers or whatever. I know, I'm gonna cover it in fucking Worcestershire sauce or something. And he's like mixing it up with his hands and like touching the fucking door and like...
Dude, he takes out like a big bottle of Heinz and just blasts ketchup all over this thing and just fucking fists it.
Oh man, he's touching everything and it's making me fucking skeeved out because like all that raw meat and E. coli all over everything.
Yeah, and he looks dirty, like he's got sweat marks all over himself, so I'm sure he's scratching his ass and then sticking his hands back in there.
I'm surprised he doesn't fucking eat the shit raw.
Be careful, there's a couple skin tags in the mix. I just chew through them.
My favorite. So we get this trademark cicada sound, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And it's something I always remember from this movie. And what's cool about it is it's audible to everybody around him. Like, it's not just in his head.
Right.
Because Ed's like, what the fuck, cicadas this time of year? He's like, that's impossible. Hey, did you hear that? And then fucking Michael turns around and just like rips his fucking throat out.
Oh yeah. Then he like power bombs him into the table.
Yeah. It's a great scene. I love the way this is shot, and there's like blood spatter like on this guy's bare feet, like
oh yeah,
and like his hand, and he's like squishing the fucking meat in his hand that he was playing with before.
Yeah,
I really like it. It's gross and just, I don't know, effective.
Yeah, and then Michael just sucks him dry, basically.
Mm-hmm. Sucked him off real good.
Oh yeah.
By the way, just a sidebar. This movie had a lot of stuff in it that wasn't necessarily allowed in films up until this point, right? The MPAA had a fucking field day with this film, cutting a bunch of shit out of it. And like the full frontal nudity stuff, and a lot of the gore stuff was cut from the UK release, and even from a theatrical release, and they had to like fight tooth and nail to kind of fucking get it reinstated. Yeah,
crazy. Like it's not even that bad. I mean, there's a couple scenes like the beginning and the end, but it's really not that egregious. I'm kind of surprised.
Now we were so like desensitized to it. We're like, oh yeah, whatever. You know, in the age of fucking, you know, before we had like unrated DVD, and now you can pretty much show anything anywhere. You know, we talk about on the Evil Speak episode 2, where like that original cut wasn't fucking reinstated until much later, but that's a later film. I think that was like 81. My point is, this is the turning point. This film, Miracle of London, Howling, all that kind of shit, like this is the kind of turning point for horror films where we get a lot of the blood and body parts and nudity and all this shit that like really... I mean, there are movies like that exist, but those movies aren't in the Hollywood eye at this point.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Herschel Gordon Lewis kind of shit. Like, that's all like independent films that are playing on fucking 42nd Street, and they're not like playing in big theaters. You know what I mean? Grindhouses, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
So it was extreme for Hollywood, put it that way, at this point in time.
No, yeah, I totally get that. I'm just thinking, like you said, I guess I'm thinking about it from like today's standards, but it still blows my mind either way.
For sure. So he kills fucking Ed and then like wanders over to this girl Amanda's house, who makes sense because she's actually part of a bloodline that we'll get to later.
Right.
But he like faints and they put him back in the hospital. And fucking we're introduced to R.G. Armstrong. Talk about fucking evil speak. He was Sarge in evil speak.
Oh my God, the doctor?
Yeah, the doctor.
Oh, wow. I did not put that together.
Yeah, dude. That's what happened, man. He went here. He was a doctor. This whole fucking shenanigans happens. He goes crazy, ends up living in the fucking army basement, maybe.
Oh my God. Pushing fucking Clint Howard around, making him do all the things he doesn't want to do, getting his head cut off with a claymore.
Fucking getting drunk, touching boys, maybe.
Oh God, he did do that, didn't he?
He sure did.
Go check that episode out. If that didn't turn you on to it, I trust us, it's a good one.
It's a great flick. So at one point, the judge is like, where's Ed? He didn't open a newspaper. And we're introduced to this Dexter Ward character. By the way, Kerwin and Dexter Ward are both names pulled from the H.P. Lovecraft story, The Case of Charles Dexter Ward. Charles Dexter Ward being the main protagonist, and Kerwin being another name that's featured in that story. But anyway, I thought that was kind of neat that Tom was like, I'm going to use that.
Fuck it. Why not?
Well, it's kind of Lovecraftian,
yeah,
in terms of like the way the story plays out and how these things happen, which I'll get to in my final thought.
So then the judge, he fucking like walks over to the newspaper to go check on Eddie, and he just finds like his mutilated corpse on the ground, and he's like, oh,
he's like, oh shit. And then, meanwhile, back at the hospital, Michael wakes up and he's, like, totally fine. Like, by the way, the night before, he, like, looks like dog shit. His fucking teeth are all fucked up. His face is all distorted.
Oh, yeah.
And now he just looks like, a handsome young man. And they're like, wow, he's all better. I'm all better now. I'm going to go back home.
I laid my cicada eggs. You're under the shed. Don't look down there.
I laid him inside Ed's chest.
Imagine that.
Oh, I would fucking love it, dude.
But this is when we get introduced to a MDU alumni, actually, in the film. I kind of wish he did a little more in this, but Deputy Meshack Taylor.
Oh, yeah, Meshack Taylor's in this fucking movie, dude.
Oh, yeah, he comes into the hospital.
Yeah.
They're talking about how, oh, Michael, the doctor said you're all better, we should leave, but he's like, oh, I don't want to leave yet, I don't want to leave.
Yeah, they want to take him to Houston, and he's like, no, I got to stay here in Nioba. And they're like, okay. Why? And then he's just like, because, Dad. And then, like, they leave Michael alone, and he ends up, like, getting up and fucking getting ready, and he goes back to Amanda's house, the chick where he fainted the night before.
Right, and he coaxes her to go on a walk with him, and she brings her dog, Dipper.
Dipper. I mean, I didn't catch that fucking name. I sure didn't.
I was like, why would you? Who names their dog that? Dipper.
Pipette.
Now people are gonna be calling it dipshit, dip, all these horrible names when they're unhappy with this poor little dog.
I guess her fucking dad definitely kicks it. I know that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, once you meet this dad, this guy is the biggest piece of shit in the movie.
Oh yeah.
So they head into the woods, and I don't really understand this. I guess because it's the bog area. Amanda's like, oh, we really shouldn't go over there. He's like, yeah, come on, let's go. Why not?
Let's go make out on the ground right next to it.
Right next to a bog.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, I shouldn't be here. And he's like, come on, we gotta go. And he's like, yeah, my dad's a piece of shit. He fucking beats me. And, he'll kill you if, he knows we're here. And he's like, whatever, let's make out.
Also, I totally forgot I buried a dead body right over there, by the way. Don't look over there, Dipper.
Don't worry, I got you, buddy. And Dipper goes and rips a fucking hand out of the ground and drops it right on her face while they're fucking kicking it.
And she freaks the fuck out, which I was like, all right, that's probably the appropriate reaction.
I love how like he has these bouts, right, where it cuts to the basement. Or it cuts to the Sawyer house.
Right.
And
right before they're making out, he has like a breakdown for a moment there.
But I love it because the visual storytelling there where it cuts back to the house and then you see him like holding the trap door down, like that Evil Dead door down while this thing's trying to bust out, like he's fighting it back. The beast within TM, he's keeping at bay.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, it's cool.
And then we get a scene where the whole gang's there. They got all the cops there, the sheriff's there, the fucking parents are there. Everyone's kind of freaked out about the dead body, and then here comes this POS fucking dad.
Yeah, his name's Horace Platt. And you've seen this guy in a ton of stuff. He is a fucking that guy, for sure.
We got a few of them in this movie.
Oh, yeah. He's in Close Encounters. I know him from Twilight Zone. He's the fucking co-pilot on the Nightmare at 20,000 Feet segment with John Lithgow.
Oh.
But he's in Streets of Fire and Pale Rider and shit. I mean,
Okay.
If you saw him, you'll know him, like if you look him up.
Sure. He comes in, he's immediately like grabbing Amanda and ripping her into the car.
Oh, yeah, and he like
he gets her in the car and he goes, "God damn you, girl!" I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna get a beating.
They never really tell you, oh, well, kind of. Yeah, his whole fucking thing is like he caught, because Eli asks the sheriff, he's like, is he always just pleasant? And he's like, yeah, well, he caught his wife cheating on him, so he fucking shot them both. And he's like, why isn't he in jail? And he's like, because his cousin's the judge.
Yeah.
Then we're like, okay, here we go. We're all fucking trying to cover something up, too. And if they covered that up, no big deal. What else are they hiding?
No, exactly. So then he drives off, and Michael's parents are like, they want to take him home to get some rest. And Dad's like, hold on, wife. I'm going to hang out and just watch these men dig for a while.
And then a big giant title comes up that says The Second Night.
Yeah. And this is Meshack Taylor's scene that he gets a little bit of focus on. It's a comedy scene. He finds a fucking part of a dead body, and he's like, oh, shit. And he's like falling backwards. It's a skull, actually, he finds.
Yeah, he pulls out a skull. The guy Tom, who looks like somebody put Roy Scheider on a fucking radiator, you know? They end up pulling out a whole fucking skeleton, and they end up finding like 36 bodies.
Yeah, and then like Eli's like fondling the bones, and then Doc Shoemaker, he's fondling the fucking bones, and they're just like, he's like, oh yeah, this is one of my patients. He's like, notice this iron pommel here? He's like, I installed it.
Oh yeah, the stainless steel ball in her fucking hip. He's like, I put that in there. He's like, but she was buried in the graveyard. What the fuck is she doing out here?
Yeah.
And then he's like, wait, there's something else. This bone looks like it was gnawed on.
Right.
I love this plot point. Okay, we're gonna get to the culmination of this, but it's just fucking cool to me.
So then we cut back to the mortuary, and I didn't realize this was Edwin on the table for a while.
Oh yeah,
I just thought this was like a fat Ray Liotta or some shit.
So Ray Liotta 2021.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as they put the glasses on him later, I'm like, oh, obviously that's Edwin. But the whole time I'm like, what's with this Ray Liotta fuck?
Oh, there you are, Edwin.
Yeah.
Because Lionel Kerwin, the guy who we talked about getting murdered before, was the original mortician for the town, and Dexter was his assistant. And now Dexter is the mortician for the city.
Right, and he's working on the body. And then basically this trio of dads, as I like to refer to them as, the doctor, Eli, and Poole, they charge in.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, you got to tell us about the body. And he doesn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah, and I want to refer to this group of people as just the gang, because they kind of migrate around the rest of the movie all together. They're never alone.
They're glued together at the hips, it feels like. And then Mom's just around.
Yeah. Now, this is the scene with Tom. And again, this guy looks like fucking Roy Scheider. Somebody put Roy Scheider on a radiator and melted his fucking face. Michael is now there, right? He's out and about, and he goes out every night and to kill people, I guess. This is the scene where we find out that Michael is possessed by this guy Billy Connors.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. I'm going to preface this with what Tom says. Now, Tom says, oh, Billy Connors, I know you. I remember we were kids. We were best friends when we were kids. But now he's drunk as shit, by the way. And he's like, oh, can you do the magic of the locusts and the cicadas? Can you keep living and becoming something else? Can you be reborn? And he says this like very cryptic fucking like paragraph of shit. And it's cool because, like, not only is it insinuated that this fucking monster was Billy Connors that raped Caroline, which birthed Michael, but is also, he can also control him from beyond the grave, like, psychically.
Right.
It's fucking crazy.
He also mentions straight up that it's, like, related to cicadas. Like, he's like, every 17 years. It's like, how the hell does this guy know all this?
I don't know, but it's a cool, like, little lore bomb, and, like, again, like, there was a reason why Tom Holland, named the, after Dexter Ward and the Kerwins, is because it's very similar to the kind of what happens in the case of Charles Dexter Ward, and even the thing on the doorstep. It's very in line with that, and it's very cool. Just real quick, one last thing about that Tom scene. Michael says that he's, he says that he's Billy Connors, but he's back for all the Kerwins. He's going to take his revenge on the Kerwins.
Right, exactly. And then that's why we go to Dexter, because Dexter's a Kerwin.
Well, Dexter is in bed with the Kerwins, meaning that, like, he's, like, adjacent to it.
So then he's, like, going around and checking, like, all the bodies on stretchers, and he's, like, pulling the face away, trying to find Michael. Well, then he, like, for some reason stops because he finds, like, some naked woman and he starts, like, feeling her breasts and shit. I'm like, why does this happen in every movie that someone does this?
He's playing it gets lonely in the fucking morgue, dude,
He forgot he was looking for the person trying to kill him. He got a little distracted by a couple of bobos.
Yeah, he's going to fucking hide that sausage somewhere.
Yeah, well, instead he gets an embalming tool in the neck.
Oh, dude, he gets stabbed with the fucking blood siphon thing? The giant needle?
I was kind of hoping for some more, like, monster kills, but also I kind of like the idea of these weird things you don't see in a lot of horror movies where it's like, oh yeah, an embalming tool? Sure, let's embalm his ass.
This movie feels like a mashup between, like, It's Alive and Death Dream. That's the best way I can explain the vibe of this flick. With, like, monster hijinks thrown in at the beginning and end.
Sure.
Yeah, before he gets stabbed with this thing, Dexter, like, calls the judge and he's like, I want out, motherfucker. He's like,
bring me a stack of money.
I want a fucking big payload and then I'm gonna skip town and you can go fuck yourself, man. I'm done covering for you. And we're like, what? What is happening?
Yeah.
Anyway, gets his ass fucking stabbed and he dies.
The gang comes back.
And they dig up Emily's grave, the woman who, the doc's like, oh, I put that ball bearing in her fucking leg or her hip or whatever. They're like, well, who's buried in Emily's grave? They open it up, and the fucking casket is filled with rocks.
Right.
And then they kind of make the distinction to be like, okay, we got to go talk to Dexter and be like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah, what have you been doing? You've been giving these to the fucking Van Dams? You've been feeding these to werewolves? What are you doing here?
That's exactly what I was thinking. The Van Dams have been taken. Yeah. He's been paying off the Van Dams with dead bodies, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, he's on Granny Van Dam's payroll. She makes him do this shit.
Oh, boys, you just give me some bodies, and I need more to make the bloodstone, and my dirty little dwarves will get you. Mm-hmm.
She's got some dirt on Dexter. She knows about his past with Lionel and all that.
I know what you do with those bodies late at night, my boy. Don't make me tell people about it, you know what I mean?
I know what you did to Billy Connors.
You fingered Billy Connors? I mean, what?
I wasn't really that involved with it. I'm just like the stooge.
I just kind of covered for the other guys.
Not too bad, you gotta die.
Doesn't matter, that's part of the revenge plot. Bye.
You got a weird haircut, you look a little off, you're getting killed.
So the gang goes back to the fucking morgue, and this room is covered in blood, and they pull this fucking sheet off, and Dexter has this giant, the fucking the blood siphon like stuck in his chest, and he's being like pumped out.
So then Michael, he disappears again, and he heads over to Amanda's, but now he's being like a fucking creep. Like before, it was like he's being a creep because of the possession angle, but now he's just being a weirdo because he like basically breaks into her house.
Well, he's 17, and she's a hot girl.
Guess.
She's an attractive young woman, and like being like a young dude who's feeling better now because he was sick. Like again, like a month ago he was fine, and he's I don't know, he's into her.
Right, and I guess he's got this idea in his head that as soon as he's quote unquote better, then his parents are going to take him out of the hospital and they're going to go back to wherever they live. Because I guess the implication is they brought him there because this was like the only doctor that would even operate on him or whatever.
No, they took him there and left him in that hospital while they did their research of like what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean?
Oh, well, that too. But like he likes this girl now, and if they're going to leave, it's like, oh, this girl's going to be out of the picture. So like I get it. But it's like, why are you going to sneak into her room?
Well, he wants to stay because he's got unfinished business. The fucking thing is the spirit of Billy Connors is keeping him there so he can get his revenge.
Well, okay, yeah, that too.
The dad, Eli, says, oh, I know why you want to stay, for that girl. And he's like, yeah, the girl. But he is attracted to her. Anyway, he's in the fucking house.
And I think they like kind of piece it together that that's where he would go. And so they all like rush there, all the adults. And then they go there and piece of shit dad answers the door. And he's like, yeah, no, your son's not here with my daughter. Hell no. And like, meanwhile, his son or his daughter's having a conversation with Michael in her bedroom.
Well, Michael's about to kill her. What the fuck? He was gonna fucking.
Oh, with like a snow globe, right?
Yeah, dude, he was gonna straight up Billy this chick.
Yeah, he didn't have a glass unicorn this time though.
No, he had a fucking snow globe, and he was gonna bash her fucking brains in because she is a Kerwin as well.
Right. So then she screams and they all run upstairs, and piece of shit dad's just like, now he's going to beat his daughter on top of all this.
Oh, man. They have this altercation, and
well, he slaps the shit out of her.
Yeah, he has a slap in for good measure. And then he's like, I'm sorry. I can't get over your mom cheating on me.
Hugs her and then acts like it's all fine. It's like, no, that's not how it works, but okay.
There's this weird thing. I mean, they don't go into it in the movie, but there is this weird air of like, you're my baby and I love you and nobody's going to take you from me or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Like borderline, like weird sexual thing.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to those kind of situations, but it's still it's a weird additional layer to this movie.
Yeah, I don't mind it, but whatever.
So then the doctor shows mom and dad the updated x-rays of Michael.
Oh yeah, he has a fucking new skin growing underneath his regular skin. Like,
yeah.
It's pretty awesome. The doc's like, hi, I touched him and I felt it and it was weird, but there it is. Never saw anything like it. No shit.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, you got any information about it? He's like, I have no idea. I've never seen it before in my life. Just thought you should know.
Well, see ya.
This is when dad goes over to him in the hospital and he's like, yep, okay, you can stop faking it, hot shot. We know you're okay. He's like, wait, what are you talking about? I can't leave yet.
And he's like, we're going home, kiddo. And he's like, you're not my dad. Billy Connors is my dad.
Right. And then dad's like freaked out and gets really upset and he like runs into the other room screaming.
Yeah, after that, we like cut to the judge and he goes to see the sheriff and he's like, this maniac's killing Kerwins, don't you get it? And he's like, get the fuck out of my office.
And then he overhears that Dexter's dead.
Yeah, Tom is like in a cell because he was like drunk the night before.
He's in the drunk tank. I'm like, what the hell? Why is Tom in the fucking police station all of a sudden? Oh, he's just the town drunk. Okay.
Yeah, and like fucking Bill Poole ends up giving him the sheriff ends up giving him fucking money to go get breakfast. He's like, listen, sheriff, the kid, the McCleary boy, he's Billy Connors. And he's like, yeah, you're fucking drunk. Get the fuck out of here.
Hey, I could use this money for a bottle of Tanafly.
Yeah, well, there it goes, man. I think that fate would have been better than what happens to him.
I don't know.
Maybe. He melts?
Yeah, maybe, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. This guy goes up like the fucking guy in Batman when the Joker gets him with the buzzer.
So Michael's in the hospital, and he has this, he takes his shirt off, and he looks in the mirror, and he has this fucking, slit on the top, back, right behind his, in his middle of his back, on the top of his back. And the doctor's like, and he bandages it up, and the doctor's like, oh, what the fuck is that on the back of your neck? He's like, nothing. He's like, let me take a peek at that. What do you say? Could be infected. So he does it, and then Michael, throws him against the fucking wall. And then it, smash cuts to Tom telling Eli and Caroline about Michael being Billy, and they're like, get the fuck, don't talk about my son like that, you fucking crazy.
Yeah, well, he, rushes up to them on, the side of the street or something.
Yeah, but he runs off to, this fucking, water treatment plant.
Yeah. Well, he, runs into the bog. I'm like, where is this guy going?
Yeah, but, this is where I feel like a scene is missing, because he goes all the way to this fucking place and, sits down in fucking Pennywise's lair.
Right, and then Michael is just there?
Yeah, he, comes out, he's like, you think that, you think I wouldn't remember that we used to come here as kids all the time? Because now he's, Billy.
Right. And every time he's Billy, they do this little subtle effect where they put some makeup on his face to have freckles, and I think they put contact lenses in his eye.
Yeah, he has all these sunken features and these fucked up teeth and these crazy eyes and stuff.
Billy Connerwolf.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, yep.
Because he tells him, he's like, oh, I came back after 17 years. I'm just like a cicada.
Yeah, like the cicadas, I came back. Yeah.
How is that possible? Don't worry about it. It was some Vishnu or something. I don't know.
Tom doesn't even question him. He's like, fuck. And then fucking Michael Billy picks him up and throws him into this transformer at the bottom of this fucking thing, and he explodes.
Oh man, this guy fries for a solid 30 seconds. He goes from Marv to just totally toasted.
And he turns into a skeleton.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying Joker when he gives that guy the hand buzzer. That's what he looks like when he's done, except he's on fire.
Oh, for sure.
And then this knocks out the power in the sheriff's station.
Oh, the whole town? It knocks it out.
So then Poole grabs a shotgun. He's like, I gotta go check it out.
Yeah, we gotta go see what's up at the water fucking energy plant or something.
We gotta go check out Ace Chemicals. Batman just killed like 30 guys and blew it up and just ruined our water for the next 50 years.
He threw Bullock into that fucking the electrical panel. So we get this scene between Eli and the Doc, and he's like, who the fuck is Billy Connors? And Doc is basically like, oh, yeah, he was like some kind of swamp wizard or something. You know, like Dr. Doolittle of the Bayou, I guess, question mark.
He talked to the bog and the trees. He was kind of like the Lorax, but more low budget.
He even talked to the bugs, the cicadas, wink. So then we get another big title, The Third Night. Here we go. The final night.
Yeah. So Michael's like creeping around Amanda's again, just asking for trouble.
Again, this motherfucker breaks into her house while she's not sleeping this time. She's making dinner.
Well, this time he sees this bruise on her face, and that's that with that situation. He's ending this dad.
Yeah, well, yes and no. This is the part where he's like, oh, you gotta get the fuck out, like, leave town.
Right, and he like threatens her.
Get in a truck and get the fuck out of Dodge, because some shit's about to go down, and I'm gonna kill your dad, and I'm also gonna turn into a monster.
But then it's like that thing too, where like I guess this is the only way he can get her to go, but he like kind of gets violent with her and grabs her arm really intensely, and then she's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll leave.
Yeah, she like cuts herself on a knife. He's like, oh, the murderer, he's gonna kill you. He's like, you're a Kerwin, and he's killing all the Kerwins. Get the fuck out of here.
And then, oh god, she goes upstairs to get changed.
Man, she takes her sweet ass time to get out of this fucking house, let me tell you.
Yeah, she changes her bra, she puts a different shirt on. But while she's upstairs getting changed, like Joe mentioned, she cuts herself on a knife. He goes over and, sticks his fingers in the blood and then sucks on them like she just fucking, came all over his fingers and he's getting off on it. It's disgusting. He's getting all sexual.
He's looking up that sweet red juice. Yeah. He also mentions, like, the cicadas, they're in the trees now. They're shedding the skins. Wink, wink. Transformation scene's coming up. Come on.
Yeah. So then he rushes upstairs and is like, oh, you didn't leave yet? I told you to leave. Now something bad's gonna happen if you don't leave.
He rips the fucking door handle out of the door. Like, rips it like the wood. Like, rips it out of the door. And she's like, oh, Michael, you're crazy.
Yeah.
When Michael is the werewolf, he's not Michael Jackson. He's the werewolf. Were Cicada. He's not Michael. He's Billy, and he's the Cicada Billy.
He's the Connor wolf.
Yes.
Connor's wolf. And we're not talking about Dan Connors, although that would have made a better movie. If he just turned into Dan Connors, John Goodman from fucking Roseanne.
Oh my god, he turns into John Goodman?
He just gets like big, has hairy arms, and has a plaid t-shirt on and blue jeans.
Oh yeah, man. Or he turns into fucking Edward Furlong. There you go.
That too, that could be interesting. But he runs off because now he's like, if she's not going to leave, I'm just going to have to kill myself. And she's like chasing him like, whoa, where you going? Come on, wait up. Where you going? Where you going, Michael? And then he literally like runs out the second story window through like a balcony off the fucking deck of the building and hits the ground and eats shit.
I guess he says later that he was trying to kill himself, but we cut to the fucking hospital and he's like on his stomach, and the doc's like, all right, I'm gonna see what the fuck's under this bandage, and he's like, he cuts it off and then like starts cutting his skin and then like peels it back and you can see the other skin underneath.
Yeah, Aylmer shoots out real fast. He scurries off.
He starts singing his song, what does a gander neander in search of a goose? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gives everybody the blue juice. Everybody's hanging out in the fucking hospital all fucked up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's basically just like, kill me. He's like, I told you to get out of here. You leave town, Amanda. Kill me, Dad, because if you don't kill me within the next half hour and 2 minutes, I'm going to turn into a cicada monster.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Sure. I don't know how this thing is that much more powerful once he's transformed. I guess once you see what he actually looks like under that skin, I guess we'll say. Okay, sure.
He's had this thing growing inside him his whole life. It's also, Amanda leaves and she gets in the car and she actually leaves. She sure does.
Yeah.
It's also the full moon too, so like this is like the full cycle of this monster, which is kind of neat. Again, where Cicada. Kind of neat.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
So he's like, you gotta go to, Michael's thrashing on the bed. He's like, you gotta go to Lionel Kerwin's house, the root cellar. It's not gonna be me. That thing in the basement is what I'm gonna turn into, and then you won't be able to kill him.
So Eli and Paul, they head off to go investigate it, but, then he's like starting to convulse and everything, so they tie him to the bed, Mom and Doc, and then, he basically starts transforming.
Oh man, this is great. And like we cut back to Horace Platt, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna kill this kid," and the judge is like, "Well, we got to make it look like an accident. So the maniac got to the kid first, and there was nothing we could do about it." But then they end up like going to the hospital, and he's just gonna like blow him away in his bed.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, we get this big transformation scene, which is fucking great.
Yeah, and the dad, he fucking piece of shit dad, he's got the gun ready.
This fucking head expands, and this giant tongue comes out. His fucking back is ripping open.
Oh
the
my
bladders
God.
are going all over his face. His face is distorting. It looks great.
It's like a Seth Brundle transformation.
Oh yeah, it definitely evokes that for sure. Yeah.
And the face is fucking disgusting. I mean, it's a cicada. I don't know what I was expecting, to be perfectly honest, but it's cool. You know, I have a nickname for this monster. It has nothing to do with cicadas, but as soon as I saw this thing out in the wild, I was thinking back to Swole Dobby.
Okay.
From last season, and this is Swole E.T. This thing looks like big-ass E.T., like muscled-up E.T., stomping around, breaking heads.
It looks like somebody punched this thing 100 times in the face with a sledgehammer. It's like it like expands to like this giant like beach ball.
Swole Dobby punched it in the face 100 times. A Bobo did maybe.
Bobo fucking sat on this guy's head. It looks like he got stung by a bunch of bees. But it looks really good. You know.
Yeah, no, it does.
It's fucking crazy looking.
So piece of shit dad shoots it twice. It does nothing.
Right in the chest, point blank, with a fucking shotgun.
Then he gets his how does this guy die? He gets his head ripped off, I think.
No, he like gets slammed against the thing, and then Michael escapes. Now here's the thing. Again, it feels like a scene is missing because he kills Horace and then escapes, and the doc's like, "We gotta go after him." It immediately cuts to the fucking woods, and they're walking through it, and Horace is like strung up in a tree.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I'm like, how the fuck did he get there? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and in the meantime, like, Dad and Poole, they found, like, the basement where, like, Billy Connors' like, body is there.
Right.
And it's, like, basically this monster after it was shot the night before, or the night of the rape, 17 years prior.
Yeah, Meshock Taylor's like, that thing is way too big to be fucking Billy Connors, because it's like this giant skeleton with this crazy, like, mal-shaped head and body.
Yeah. But it's disgusting, and it
it's
kind of
cool.
gets the point across that this is what your son's going to turn into.
Yeah. They're walking through this woods, these woods, and fucking Horace Platt falls out of a fucking tree, and then they come across Michael's skin, like, in a tree.
Oh, that was disgusting. That was really well done.
It's awesome. Like, the monsters finally, like, shed the entirety of the skin, and, like, it's just hanging on a tree.
Yes, okay, so I take it back. This is Swole E.T. I forgot that there was a middle part there for a second. The full transformation looks like Swole E.T. Just, you know, its fingers are lit up, it's firing off beams, I don't know.
Kind of looks a little bit like the Suckling.
Yeah, definitely a cousin for sure.
Yeah.
It's creepy as hell. Because then we also have, like, during all this, the judge is, like, shitting his britches, and he runs, like, home, and he clears his safe out, and he takes, like, his fucking wig off and his glasses off.
Yeah, it's a wig.
Like, changing his whole persona. He's, like, pulling a stepfather and trying to, like, just so he's not recognized kind of thing.
I guess so. I think it was just too itchy, right? It was too hot. Those hot summer nights, man.
Yeah.
Oh, no, his Sonny Bono wig.
Yeah. Look out for any trees while you're skiing there, pal.
Yeah, man.
They're tracking this monster, and they're like, oh, you know, its tracks end here. Maybe it flew.
It doesn't have wings, though. I think because it shed its skin.
I thought the implication there was that because it's a cicada monster, it left ground and, like, hopped and flew a little bit, but they never actually show it.
It's possible, but we don't do anything like that in this movie. Probably because it was probably too expensive.
Sure. So then they all kind of meet at the sheriff's office.
Yeah, this is like the final stand kind of place, and the judge gives the fucking lore dump here because Ronny Cox is like, motherfucker, he's like, you knew all about this, now spill it.
Right. Why is my son basically this monster, and how come if you knew about it, why didn't you tell anybody?
Because it's so like, it's so piecemeal, but I kind of like it because he's like, oh, Billy Connors, and he tells this backstory of like, you know, he says his brother turned him into what he is, but, like,
right.
There's no, like, magic involved. Like, what happened was Lionel Kerwin was, like, a super religious dude, and he wouldn't, like, even fuck his wife. So his wife started fucking Billy Connors, and he caught them together, killed his wife, and locked Billy in his fucking basement in the Sawyer house. and he ended up throwing his wife's dead body down there for this fucking guy to eat. And then, I guess over time, he became this fucking monster, almost like
like a Smeagol effect, almost.
Yeah, maybe. Almost like, whatchamacallit? Like Castle Freak or some shit. And then he proceeds to start robbing graves and taking dead bodies from the coroner and just, or from the mortician, Dexter, and feeding them to this fucking guy in this basement.
Yeah, again, I still think he got that tip from GVD, whether he's working for her or he just,
It's possible.
It was a recipe passed down, but yeah, that's what he had to eat.
That's the thing. They never really go into it. They imply that Billy was magical to begin with, kind of.
Right.
But they never really tell you how he turns into this fucking monster. I mean, he's disgusting. And, he's like a full-fledged fucking cicada, right? Like, I don't know how...
Yeah, that part's never explained.
No, it's just like black magic, whatever, guys locked in a basement eating bodies, whatever. He's a ghoul or whatever.
Yeah, also, side note, when they go into that basement with the fucking body... It's kind of like flooded and everything, so you know for a fact that the bones of Harry and Marv are in there somewhere next to some fucking dead mosquitoes, giant mosquito bodies.
They sure are, yeah, for sure. This scene is really cool. This is so we get the rest of the jail scene, and this thing busts down the door. It's got these crazy wide white, like they're like giant brown eyes. That's why I make the correlation to the suckling, because they're like human looking eyes, but they're just giant.
Yeah.
And they lock themselves in the back into the place where all the cells are, right? So it's like locked down like armor. And the judge is like, "Lock me up, motherfuckers!" He's like, "That thing's gonna kill me." So they lock him up.
Oh my god! And this thing, like, talk about the suckling.
Oh yeah, dude.
He's backing up into like the wall. Just like in the suckling, it bursts through the fucking wall and rips his head off.
Oh, man. This thing bursts through this concrete wall, grabs this guy by the face, and just pulls his head off backwards. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
And again, like, this wasn't a staple of the films, like big Hollywood movies, so this was like, holy shit, like... This is crazy.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That's why there was like big warnings on the movie posters and stuff. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So then they all rush out, and this is at the point where I noticed that this doctor character he's basically dressed like Colonel Sanders.
Pretty much. He's Sarge, dude.
Oh yeah. I actually forgot about this in the movie while watching it, and then when it cut back to it, I was like, oh yeah, Amanda crashed her fucking car.
Man.
Because she wasn't paying attention to the road, and she somehow survived even though she was ejected like 30 feet from her vehicle.
Look, this woman saw these flashing roadblocks a mile away and just decided to scream at the last second and crash into them.
You had ample time to apply the brake, turn, even grab the emergency brake.
Yeah.
I don't know, pretty much anything. Instead, you just like crash into these blockades and go flying through your windshield.
Man, not even. When we come back to her, like you said, the door is open and she's like 5 feet away from the car, just like laying down.
Yeah, I'd like to see the math on that one.
What happened?
That's like a back and to the left kind of scenario in my mind.
Oh, for sure. So, spoilers, Billy shows up, and, well, Michael shows up. It's Billy at this point, yeah.
It's Connor Wolf.
It's the cicada man.
And history repeats itself.
It sure does.
For poor Amanda's sake, unfortunately, it does. Because it strips her down and gets on top of her, and it's a little bit more egregious this time. They're really showing it going to town on her.
Oh man, it shoots his goo and fucking bounces. Yeah, he fucking howls to the moon and everything.
And then he runs into mom and dad.
Well, he tries to go to sleep in the mud, like bury himself.
Oh yeah.
I'm all better now. I just want to go to sleep in the mud.
And then Eli finds him and starts digging him out, and then he gets like in a chokehold, and he's about to get killed, and then mom comes over with this shotgun that her husband had previously.
Yeah, speaking of the fly.
Yeah, exactly, and blows her fucking son's head off.
Oh man, they are showered in brains and shit. It's great.
I still think the fly probably did it better, but yeah, it definitely makes me think of the fly.
Yeah. You know, the first thing I would do is get that, Get that poor girl an abortion, please.
Yeah.
And just end this fucking madness.
You think mom and dad stayed quiet? You think they were like, you know what? It's her fucking problem now. She can deal with this in 17 years.
Oh, that would be so fucked up, dude. That's the thing, though. Like, is Billy just going to keep coming back every time? Like, he's just going to he's going to impregnate a woman, come back as Cicada Man, and then rape another person and just keep coming back?
I mean, if this director had any kind of foresight, maybe they could have had a baked-in sequel every 17 years for this franchise. He probably could have made like 3 or 4 more if they really had the time and money. But I'm going to take a wild guess and say that there's a reason why that didn't happen.
Yeah, every 17 years for 4 days, it gets to rape. Yeah.
Yeah. Think about what you just said. I wonder why they didn't make more. And then the movie kind of wraps up after that.
Oh, it cuts to fucking credits.
Well, we do get a scene of mom and dad kind of hugging because mom loses it after having to, blow her kid's head off, even though he was this hideous monster. And then, yeah, you're right. We do get the final shot is back at the Sawyer house, though.
The sheriff brings this poor naked girl over, and then it like cuts to the Sawyer house, and then it cuts to credits. Man, where are we putting this?
Yeah, for me, this is definitely in the dumpster.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's definitely like a surface level kind of dumpster flick, but I didn't love this. I didn't hate it, but it was just okay for me. Probably never going to watch it again. The effects are really good, especially the monster at the end. I mean, I'm joking about calling it Swole E.T., but, honestly, I'm only half joking. It really looked like a jacked-ass E.T., and I kind of love that. Let's get him and Dobby on the card. They can go at it. We can make some money, get Don King involved. I've heard he's pretty good at that. Maybe Daniel Baldwin can handle it for the MDU version. I don't know.
It's possible, dude.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, the story's pretty good, and, anytime there's any kind of, like, rape in a movie, I'm kind of turned off. This movie, a little less so because it kind of is the crux of the plot, and it kind of doesn't work without that. And I talked about that briefly early in the episode, so I don't want to go on about that too long. But that is something that takes away from it a little bit for me.
Sure.
But it was just it was fine. I didn't love it. I just wasn't really into it. It was a little slow in some parts, and I just thought there was a little bit too many. There was just too many layers to it. Like, okay, this guy's a were-cicada, but also it's a revenge plot, and also he's possessed. It's like, I don't know. I think they were trying a little too much with this one. They were a little bit too. They overthought this one a little, I feel like.
I feel like it's a unique thing, though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I've ever seen it done that way.
That is very true, and that's why I feel weird. Like, I don't think they did anything wrong, per se. It just, for me, it was, like, overkill. It was too much.
Sure.
Remove one of the elements. Like, I don't know, the revenge
Sure.
angle, I think if you got rid of that, it would have been better for me. But, I mean, you could make an argument then, why is he killing people? It's fine. I don't dislike it, but I think they could have done something a little bit more interesting. And beyond that, it's a pretty good movie. Check it out. Even though I'm saying it's pretty good, I'm not gonna watch it again. Like I said, it's in the dumpster. Probably next to all the dead cicadas out there. After they only live for like a fucking week or two, and then they die.
Brood X, yeah, they're all dead now.
Yeah, and they get picked up and they get dumped in the dumpster with your moldy cheese fries and your used tampons and the dirty diapers, and they're shoved in there. They're surface level, so hopefully there's not too many of them in there with the diapers. But some people, they don't push them down with a stick. They just throw them on top and just leave them where they lie.
Oh yeah,
and that's kind of where this movie is.
This is on the shelf. It has been since forever. Since the first time I saw this on Monster Vision when I was a kid, and it is such a great. The story and all the story beats in this are like really great. Like, again, Tom Holland is writing here, and I like that it pulls from like other it pulls from like Lovecraft stories, and I love the kind of the setting is in like the bayou, and it's the swamp monster, and like again it has those vibes of like The Thing on the Doorstep and The Case of Charles Dexter Ward, and just a really bizarre, like, again, werewolf cicada. Like, that's insane. I love it. I like how the lore isn't completely spelled out for you, and it's kind of left up in the air, but it obviously has to do with some kind of magic and some kind of curse or whatever. And yeah, I think it's really cool because of that. And I don't know, it feels good. It feels like a Lovecraft story. especially with like the impregnation and like the transferring of bodies and being like reborn inside a body, but also controlling it in like a psychological sense, like a disembodied, like, a spirit, not, I guess, a spirit from the other side, or a ghost controlling him from the inside and kind of taking over his body as he loses control of it. And I think that's kind of neat. There's some weird shit in this movie, and I feel like this movie is kind of overshadowed, especially when it came out too. Like, you have American Werewolf in London and The Howling and The Thing coming out all around the same time, like in the same clip. It's easy for this film to get kind of lost in the kerfuffle, right? If you've never seen it, definitely check it out, or revisit it. It's a great flick. Again, it takes place in autumn, I believe, but like, it's definitely a great summer movie, especially with all the cicada motifs and things like that. The effects are fucking amazing. Tom Berman and his crew do an awesome job. It can be a little slow in parts, but every scene counts, right? It's building up the story. It's more like a mystery kind of movie, putting the pieces together, whodunit kind of thing, or like why this shit is happening. It's a great flick. Definitely check it out. On the shelf, absolutely. I'm looking forward to possibly doing this on Book to the Movie with CB Smith, because I really want to know if Ed Levy added anything to the story, if there was any other like embellishments that he did, kind of going into what's going on and how it happens, like with the magic or whatever, or like the were cicada portion of it. Again, I can't stress enough, it's such a weird thing. I've never seen it done like this, quite like this before. And yeah, totally check it out and see if it's your cup of tea or not. And yeah, also, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. It always helps us out. Helps us get out of the bottom of the dumpster into more eardrums, like Sean always says. Go to moviedumpsterpodcast.com, and you can get all that good stuff. You get the store. You can sign up for that Patreon. Get yourself some swag, and get some commentary tracks and some watch-alongs. You're not going to want to miss that Super Mario watch-along.
Oh, no.
The Morton Jenkel cut. You're not going to want to miss that.
Like I said earlier, I can't wait for that. We have also got Book to the Movie coming to you this month. We sat down with CB for MK Annihilation, funnily enough. 2 months removed from our video game month.
Oh, yeah.
Super Combat Fighter Double Dumpster Edition Turbo.
Wow, there you go.
Wow, I got it in one try due to the magic of editing.
We also got a Deep Blood commentary track coming for you on Patreon, too.
Oh, man.
Joe D'Amato's Deep Blood. Jaws the Revenge, the ripoff for you.
That should be fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hoot.
Little sharksploitation here.
Yeah. Oh, we're diving back into sharksploitation. And don't forget, we got Talks from the Dark Side coming out. We're gonna try to hit you with those every Wednesday, if we can, and that's the goal. So keep an eye out for those.
Oh yeah. And we love to thank our listeners, you guys at home, the dumpster dwellers, keep this show going, and especially our patrons. And this is probably going to be the last time we do this for a while. I think I might bring it back when we hit 50.
There's a lot.
As part of a special occasion, but just wanted to say thank you to everyone that is our patron and shows support. And we're going to read their names one last time, and then I'll bring it back maybe when we hit 50. But thank you to Hunter Davenport, Brendan Lemune, The Autistic Gamer 89, Christopher, Jacob Chavez, Leonardo Roberto Talavera Barocio.
Where Gorlami?
Where Lami? Amanda Tweed, Joe Has a Mustache, Dustin Elkins, Nick Lowry, Serge Murillo, Matt Collins, Lucio Fulci's Butt, Julia Lockwood, Kyle McDonald, Nicholas Walters, Daniel Perhaps, Jacob Fonsbeck, Patrick Farmer, Tony from Hack the Movies, CB Smith, Arlen Haro, CJ Duke, Norman Mata, La Brandita Senorita Rico, Matt Lasky, Ken Smith, Dustin Connor, Dave Lockwood, Brian Barrio, Russell Duvall, Anton Rickard, Jeremy Fredenberg, Johnny Miller, Richard Kimball, Aaron D., and Conroy Tatro. Thank you all, and we really appreciate your support.
Thank you guys so much for supporting the show, especially lately. We can't thank you enough for coming out. For the last live show we had, there was a ton of people And we got a bunch of people signing up for the Patreon. We got a bunch of people subscribing to us on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. And we are looking forward to all the good stuff we got coming up. So thanks for hanging in there with us and going into the future Movie Dumpster.
And catch us on that next live show at the end of the month. We'll be back with a new one.
For sure. So that's it. That's The Beast Within from 1981, directed by Philippe Mora.
If you want some more good, bad, and god-awful movie goodness, head over to MovieDumpsterPodcast.com and follow us on all of your favorite social media and streaming platforms.
You can also head on over to our Patreon page and sign up for the $2, $5, or $10 tiers for monthly exclusive content, or drop by our merch store and grab yourself some non-committal swag.
Yeah, for no money at all, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts to support your favorite show. I'm Joe Lascola.
I'm Sean O'Rourke.
Thanks for visiting the dumpster.